She warned, "I can't hold my power anymore." I told her, "No one else has to know." Orbital Habitat 11 was never quiet, but Marcus Hale had learned to live with the noise. The hum of generators, the rattle of pipes, the shiver when a shuttle docked. Tonight, the sound that woke him was different. He was half asleep on his narrow couch, station news on mute, a cold cup of coffee on the table. A normal end to a long shift. Then the floor under his boots trembled. At first it was only a faint pulse, like a slow heartbeat in the metal. His cup rattled against its saucer. Marcus frowned, sat up, and listened. Then he saw it. A thin line of pale blue light slid under his front door. It wasn't the red flash of an alarm or the white burst of a shorted cable. It moved like water, curling across the floor, fading, then returning. He knew that glow. "Lyra," he whispered. As if answering her name, a shadow shifted outside the door. The light brightened, then shook, like whoever made it was struggling to stay calm. Then he heard her voice through the metal. "Marcus. I can't hold it any longer." He remembered the last time the alien woman lost control. A burst of heat. A warped pipe. Alarms screaming through the deck. A long lecture about proper alien supervision. If she lost control here, in his small apartment, there would be no alarms. Just light. Or fire. Or a hole in the wall and a very angry station warden. Marcus stood up so fast his coffee tipped and rolled off the table. It hit the floor and spilled cold brown streaks across his boot. He crossed the room in a few quick steps and pressed his palm against the door. "Lyra?" His voice shook more than he liked. "Are you hurt?" The glow under the door pulsed brighter, then dimmer, then brighter again, like an anxious heartbeat. "I am not injured," she said softly. "But I will be if I keep this inside." That did not help. Marcus was a middle-aged maintenance tech, not a doctor. His job was to fix leaks and failing filters, not handle alien, whatever this was. His hand still found the handle. He turned it slowly and opened the door a crack. Lyra stood in the hallway, framed by metal walls and strip lights. Her skin was gray, slightly reflective. Tiny blue specks glowed along her cheeks and arms like scattered stars. Tonight, every speck burned bright. Her long, pale hair floated around her head. Silver eyes glowed so fiercely he could see his own worried face reflected in them. She held her hands tight to her chest. "I told you," she whispered. "I cannot hold it anymore. It is building." The air around her was warm. Marcus felt it roll over his face, like opening an oven door. His first thought was that she meant an explosion. His second was that maybe this was some secret alien health problem he did not want explained. Either way, it sounded bad. Without thinking, he blurted the first thing his reflex offered. "It's okay," he said quickly. "Whatever this is, it'll be our little secret, all right." The words sounded wrong as soon as he heard them. Too soft. Too human. Too suspicious if anyone else was listening. Lyra blinked, confused more than offended. Her glow flared, then tightened, pressing close to her skin as if she was trying to hold it back. "A secret," she repeated quietly. "Yes. It must be. Humans do not react well when someone from my kind comes out." The way she said it made his stomach twist, even though he knew she didn't mean it the way humans used those words. Marcus opened the door wider and stepped aside. "Come in," he said. "Before anyone sees." She hesitated for a heartbeat, then moved past him. The air shifted with her, tugging at his shirt. As soon as she crossed the threshold, the glow spilled off her body and climbed the walls like liquid light. The small room brightened with blue waves. Marcus closed the door and locked it, his pulse loud in his ears. The station hummed outside. Inside his apartment, something much stranger than a broken pipe was about to begin. The moment the door clicked shut, Marcus felt the temperature rise another few degrees. Lyra stood in the middle of his small living space, arms wrapped around herself, light trembling beneath her skin like a storm waiting to break. He tried to keep his voice steady. Lyra, what does "can't hold it" mean? Are you overheating? Changing shape? About to blast a hole in my ceiling? She shook her head. Her hair floated again, thin strands lifting like they were caught in invisible static. No. Not changing. Not exploding. But my light wants to escape. It grows stronger when I feel too much. He didn't like the sound of that, not one bit. Emotions on orbital habitat 11 were supposed to stay inside a person, where they belonged, not glowing through skin and walls. Marcus took a small step toward her, careful not to startle her. She looked ready to collapse or burst, he wasn't sure which. You said it'll hurt you if you hold it in, he said softly. So, what do you need? Do I stand back? Do I get something? A bucket? A fire blanket? Her cheeks brightened in a soft violet shimmer. No. I only need space. And trust. Marcus opened his mouth to ask what that meant, but 3 hard knocks slammed into his door. Bam. 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 Lyra froze. Marcus felt his stomach jump into his throat. The knocks came again, faster this time. Whoever stood outside wasn't patient. And they weren't going away. Lyra's glow flickered wildly. She pressed both hands over her mouth, as if afraid the light might leak out between her fingers. Marcus whispered, "Stay still." But Lyra shook her head. They cannot see me like this. Her light brightened in panic, washing over the ceiling in sharp pulses. Marcus had to squint. The knocks grew louder. Marcus Hale. Open up. Now. Marcus closed his eyes. Not him. Of all people, not him. It was Warden Crane, the one officer on the station who treated every tenant like they were hiding a crime. The man had a talent for walking into a room exactly when he shouldn't. Marcus turned back to Lyra. You need to dim down, he whispered. She gave him a look that said, clearly, if I could stop glowing, do you think I would be doing this right now? Marcus sighed. Right. Stupid suggestion. He moved quickly, grabbing a light jacket from the chair and tossing it over her shoulders. It didn't help much. Her glow flowed right through the fabric like it wasn't even there. Another knock shook the door. Marcus. I'm coming in if you don't open. Panic surged. Crane had override access. If he used it, the door would slide open no matter how many locks Marcus clicked. He rushed toward the door and turned back at the last second. Lyra, hide in the kitchen nook. Behind the water purifier. The glow might look like a malfunction. She rushed to the small corner of his apartment, crouching beside the purifier's metal frame, hugging her body tight. The glow dimmed slightly, but only because her panic increased. Marcus slapped his palm on the door panel. It slid open halfway before he jammed his boot behind it, blocking Crane's view inside. The warden's hard eyes narrowed. Why is it so hot in here? You running illegal heaters? You know the rules. Marcus held his breath. Behind him, Lyra's glow reflected faintly across the metal purifier. He prayed Crane didn't notice. No heater, Marcus said quickly. Pipe maintenance issue. I'm fixing it. Crane sniffed the warm air. Smells like ionized coolant. Marcus felt sweat form at his temples. Yeah. I spilled some earlier. I'm cleaning it. Crane leaned in closer, not toward Marcus, but toward the gap in the door. Marcus shifted, blocking the angle with his shoulder. Behind Marcus, Lyra's hum rose, a soft, trembling vibration like a living tuning fork. Crane froze. What was that? The warden demanded. Wind, Marcus said instantly. We're in space. Station wind. Crane stared at him with a dead-flat expression. A shimmer of blue light escaped under Marcus's arm, only a sliver, small enough to look like a glitch, but bright enough to draw attention. Crane's eyes sharpened. "What exactly are you hiding in there, Hale?" Marcus's heartbeat was a hammer in his chest. He planted both feet, leaned against the door, and forced a casual smile that did not feel casual at all. "Nothing dangerous," he said. "But definitely nothing you need to inspect right now." Crane's jaw tightened. He wasn't convinced, but he also wasn't allowed to enter without provable cause. "Fine," the warden muttered. "But if I see light coming through the hallway again, we're having a long talk with station command." He turned and stomped down the corridor, muttering to himself about strange tenants and glowing rooms. When the footsteps finally faded, Marcus let out a long breath and shut the door fully. He turned. Lyra stood beside the purifier, trembling, her glow softening again. When their eyes met, she whispered, "Thank you. If he saw me like this, everything would fall apart." Marcus walked toward her, his voice calmer now. "What exactly is this?" She held her glowing hands gently in front of her chest. "My light phase," she whispered. "My truth I was never supposed to reveal." Marcus stood frozen for a moment, watching the faint glow ripple under Lyra's skin like soft waves moving under moonlight. She looked calmer than before, but only because she was trying very, very hard to stay that way. He took a slow step toward her. "All right," he said quietly. "Tell me what this light phase is. I need to understand what's happening." Lyra lowered her gaze. Her hands shook as she held them close to her chest, palms half open, light shimmering between her fingers. "It is not dangerous," she whispered. "At least, not to you." "That doesn't make me feel better," Marcus muttered. She gave a tiny, nervous smile. "I know." Her glow pulsed gently, warming the small room. The air felt thicker, like a warm fog was settling around them. Marcus tugged at his collar without thinking. Lyra took a slow breath and began speaking again, her voice softer now. "In my culture, we hide our inner light. It is our most private state. When our emotions grow too strong, fear, trust, pressure, our bodies cannot contain it." She paused, swallowing hard. "The light escapes." Marcus frowned. "So, it's emotional?" "Yes," she whispered. "Completely." He rubbed the back of his neck, trying to process all this. Alien biology was strange enough, but alien feelings that glowed through walls. That was new even for him. Lyra continued, her voice trembling. "Humans think my people are bold. Confident. But we are not. We hide more than we show. The light phase," she hesitated, embarrassed. "It is something we share only with those we trust deeply." Marcus blinked. "You trust me?" Her cheeks brightened into a deeper shade, glowing violet gold. It looked almost like a blush, an alien blush. "I do," she admitted softly. "But that is why I am afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That you will misunderstand me," she whispered. "That you will think this is romantic. Or dangerous. Or something shameful." Marcus felt a strange twist in his chest. Not fear, more like guilt. She looked so fragile right now, even though she wasn't physically weak. It was emotional weight pressing on her. "I'm not misunderstanding," he said quietly. "I'm just confused. And maybe terrified. But I'm trying." Her glow softened a little, like a gentle exhale. "That is why I came here," Lyra whispered. "You try. Most humans never try with us." Marcus took another step closer, not too close, but close enough to show he wasn't backing away. "So your light, it's like revealing a secret?" She nodded. "A secret of the heart." He absorbed that in silence. The glow around her collarbone flickered again, rising with her panic. She clutched her arms tighter around herself. "If I hide it too long, it will hurt," she said. "But if I show it to the wrong person, it will hurt even more." Marcus let out a slow breath. "That sounds like a terrible design flaw." She blinked, confused, then let out a soft nervous laugh. "A flaw we learn to live with. But sometimes, it becomes too much." Marcus studied her carefully. The light sliding under her skin reminded him of something trapped behind glass, trying to break free. "Is there a way to release it safely?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. Her throat moved as she swallowed. "Yes," she whispered. "But not by myself." His pulse kicked. "What do you mean?" She stepped back slightly, shaking her head. "If I tell you, you might panic. Or refuse. Or think I mean something else." Marcus lifted both hands, palms out. "Lyra. Look at me. I've already survived tonight. Just tell me." She looked at him for a long moment. Her silver eyes glowed like two small stars. Finally, she spoke. "When a Thalen cannot hold their inner light anymore, they show it to someone they trust. They release it in front of them. With them." She paused, trembling. "It is a moment we do not share lightly." Marcus stared, unsure what to say. Lyra continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "If I release it alone, the pain will be great. But if someone stands with me, it becomes gentle. Safe." Marcus pressed a hand over his face. "So you're telling me, you came here so I could help you do this?" Her glow fluttered anxiously. "Yes." He lowered his hand slowly. "And what does helping involve?" She looked away, embarrassed. "Presence. Acceptance. No fear. No rejection." Her fingers twitched. "And you must stay close. Very close." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it again. His brain needed a restart. Lyra's voice cracked slightly. "If you do not want this, I will leave. I will find a place to hide the light. Even if it hurts." Marcus felt something tighten in his chest again. She wasn't asking for romance. She wasn't asking for anything dangerous. She was asking for someone to stand with her in a moment she couldn't handle alone. He stepped forward. "You're not leaving," he said softly. "I'm here." Her eyes widened. Her glow brightened. And for the first time that night, she whispered. "Then I will show you what I have been afraid to reveal." The room felt different now, thicker, warmer, almost alive. Marcus stood still as Lyra stepped into the center of his cramped apartment. Her glow spread across the floor, rising and falling like soft waves on a quiet shore. She took a slow breath. "It is starting," she whispered. "I cannot delay it anymore." Marcus watched her carefully. Her shoulders trembled. Her hair floated around her head as if gravity had loosened its grip. Tiny sparks shimmered around her fingertips. He swallowed hard. "Just, tell me what to do." Her answer was gentle. "Stay close. But do not touch me yet." "Yet?" he repeated, confused. She didn't reply. Instead, she closed her eyes. A quiet hum escaped her chest, not a sound, but a vibration in the air. It brushed against Marcus's skin like a warm wind. He steadied himself, heart pounding, unsure if he should stand still or back away. Then something changed beneath her skin. A faint ripple, like light moving under water. It drifted up her arms, across her shoulders, along her neck. Her bioluminescent freckles brightened and connected into thin glowing lines, like constellations being drawn one star at a time. Marcus felt his breath catch. He had seen Lyra glow before, during stress or panic. But this wasn't panic. This was something deeper, something controlled by a force bigger than fear. Her voice came out soft, almost fragile. This is the first stage, the rise. The glow intensified. The lines along her arms pulsed gently, like living threads. The air around her warmed even more. Marcus could feel it against his face, warm and steady, like standing near a small sun. "What happens next?" he asked quietly. She opened her eyes. They were bright silver now, glowing so strongly they reflected blue light on the walls. "The release phase comes soon," she whispered. "But I need to explain before it happens." Marcus nodded, trying to seem calm despite his racing pulse. "Okay. Explain." Lyra hesitated. Her hands trembled. "My people feel emotions in our whole body," she said. "When something becomes too strong, fear, trust, hope, the light builds in us until we must let it out." Marcus frowned. "So this is like emotional pressure?" She nodded. "Yes. And you are the reason it grew this strong." He blinked. "Me? What did I do?" "You were kind," she said simply. "You listened. You didn't turn away from me. And you didn't fear me." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it again. He didn't know what to say to something like that. Lyra continued. "When we choose someone to share our light with, we give them a piece of who we are. Humans call it trust. For us, it is deeper. It is connection." She lifted her hands. The glow in her palms swirled like tiny galaxies spinning under her skin. "If I release this alone, it will burn. But if someone stands with me, the pain fades. The light becomes gentle." Marcus took a careful step forward. "And you want me to help you do that?" Her voice shook. "I do." He looked at her glowing hands. At her trembling shoulders. At her eyes, bright and vulnerable. "Tell me how." Lyra exhaled in relief, as if she had been holding her breath for hours. She reached out, not touching him, but holding her hand inches from his chest. "When the release begins," she said softly, "I must touch you. Only for a moment. The light will pass through me and into the air. You may feel warmth, pressure, or emotion. But it will not harm you." Marcus nodded slowly. "I can handle that." Her glow brightened at his words. "Then brace yourself," she whispered. "The next stage is coming." The hum in the air deepened, vibrating through the room like a soft engine warming up. The lights on the ceiling flickered, overwhelmed by the growing glow from Lyra's body. Her breathing grew heavier. "Lyra?" Marcus asked, stepping closer. She raised a hand, signaling for him to stop. "I'm all right," she whispered. But once the light reaches the heart, everything speeds up. Marcus watched helplessly as a bright ripple traveled across her chest, moving like a wave of molten color. Her body trembled. Her hair rose higher, drifting around her head like strands caught in an invisible current. The glow thickened, filling the small apartment with a blue haze. Marcus shielded his eyes slightly. "Is this normal?" "For me, yes," she said breathlessly. "For you?" "I hope so." He tried not to panic. Her next breath came out shaky, almost a gasp. "It's close," she whispered. "The light is reaching the surface." Marcus stepped closer, steady and calm despite the rush in his chest. "I'm here." Her eyes softened. "And that is why the light is so strong." A bright pulse shot through her skin. She flinched. "It's happening," she whispered. "Marcus, stay steady." She lifted her glowing hand toward him, finally ready to touch him. But just as her fingertips grazed the edge of his shirt, a violent surge of light burst through her chest, flooding the room with blinding blue. Marcus staggered back, eyes wide. Lyra gasped, her voice breaking. "The release has begun." The room exploded in blue. Not with sound. Not with heat. With light. A giant pulse, soft but powerful, rushed from Lyra's body and filled every corner of Marcus's apartment. The walls glowed like frost touched by sunrise. The air shimmered as though dust had turned into tiny stars. Marcus staggered back a step, blinded. He felt warmth wash over him in a slow wave, gentle and heavy at the same time, like standing waist-deep in warm water. "Lyra," he called, voice cracking. Her answer came in a trembling whisper. "I'm here. I'm sorry, the first burst is always strong." Marcus blinked until his vision cleared. Lyra was still standing, but barely. Her knees shook. Her hands were wrapped around her chest as if holding herself together. Her glow had softened into a deep, steady blue, but she was pale beneath it, exhausted. He rushed forward. "Hey, easy, don't fall." She swayed, her hair drifting as though gravity had forgotten her. "This is the middle phase," she whispered. "The body tries to push the light out all at once." Marcus steadied her shoulders. Her skin felt warm, almost too warm, like holding a heated metal rod wrapped in soft cloth. "Were you hurt?" he asked. "No," she murmured. "But the second burst is coming soon." "It is, gentler. But more intense." Marcus's brow tightened. "Gentler but more intense? How does that make sense?" Lyra gave a tiny, tired laugh. "It doesn't. Not to humans." Her glow pulsed again, softer this time. The room brightened in smooth waves, like slow ocean tides rolling up the walls. Marcus watched in awe despite the tightness in his chest. She looked fragile, more fragile than he had ever seen her. "Sit down," he said. "I cannot," she whispered. "Standing helps my body release." Marcus swallowed. "Then lean on me." Lyra hesitated. "Marcus, if I touch you before the second burst, you may feel everything I feel." "Good," he said. "Maybe I'll understand better." Her breath trembled. "Humans are not built for our emotions." Marcus didn't move. Didn't break eye contact. "I can take it." A soft glow flickered across her cheeks, her version of a blush. Then she slowly leaned forward until her forehead rested lightly against his shoulder. Her fingers gripped the front of his shirt, not pulling, just holding. The hum in her chest grew stronger, vibrating through his bones. He closed his eyes. It wasn't painful, just strange. Like someone placing a warm stone directly into his heart. Her voice was barely a breath. "You make this easier." Marcus placed one steady hand on her back. "Then let it happen." She let out a shaky exhale. "I am trying." The glow along her spine brightened. Her hair floated higher, shimmering like strands of liquid crystal. The light under her skin gathered, thickening, building. Marcus felt the pressure rise, an emotional weight, heavy and warm, pressing around them both. He whispered, "Is it time?" She nodded against him. "Yes." "Hold me steady." Her fingers tightened on his shirt. "Marcus. I must warn you." "About what?" "When the second burst comes, it will look intimate to humans." "Too intimate." He blinked. "I don't care how it looks." She shivered. Her glow deepened to a bright, breathtaking blue-white. "I care," she whispered. "Because this is trust. Because this is everything I hid." He squeezed her shoulder gently. "Lyra. I won't misunderstand." A small, relieved sound escaped her. Her whole body tensed. "The burst," she gasped, "it's here." Marcus held her tightly as the glow surged. The second pulse hit. It was silent, like the first, but this time the light flowed instead of exploding. It spread across Marcus's chest, around their bodies, through the room in a soft expanding ring. Warm. Deep. Emotional. Marcus felt something stir inside him. Not fear, not confusion. But a strange, peaceful sadness mixed with hope. He couldn't explain it. He didn't know if it came from Lyra or from himself. But he felt it. When the glow faded slightly, Lyra collapsed forward into his arms. He caught her easily, lowering her until she could stand again. Her breathing was shaky but stable. "It is almost over," she whispered. "One more pulse. The final release. Will it hurt?" "No," she said softly. "It will feel like relief. For both of us." She lifted one trembling hand and placed it on his chest, right over his heart. Blue light spilled across his shirt. Her eyes lifted to his, shining, pure, terrified. "Marcus, after this last pulse, you will know my truth." Before he could ask, her glow flared brighter than ever before. The final burst was coming. The last pulse struck like a sunrise blooming inside the room. Not sharp. Not violent. Not dangerous. It came like warmth sinking deep into Marcus's bones, gentle, slow, almost peaceful. A soft wave of blue poured from Lyra's body, spilling over him like warm fog. The glow washed across his arms, wrapped around his chest, and filled the air until everything looked dreamlike and quiet. Lyra's breath left her in a soft gasp. Her knees buckled. Marcus caught her again, this time more carefully, guiding her until she leaned against him, weak but steady. Her glow dimmed rapidly, settling into a faint halo around her body. Not gone. Not dangerous. Just calm. She kept her hand on his chest, right over his heartbeat. And for the first time since she arrived at his door, her fingers didn't tremble. "It is done," she whispered. "I released everything." Marcus held her shoulders gently. "You okay?" "Yes," she breathed. "Better than I've been in many cycles." Her silver eyes lifted, soft and vulnerable. "And you stayed with me. Even when it frightened you." He tried to shrug, but her gaze held him still. "I wasn't going to let you do this alone," he said. Her glow brightened at the edges, a soft shimmer. "That is why the bond formed," she whispered. Marcus blinked. "Bond?" "Yes." She stepped back a little, just enough to see him clearly, but not far enough to break the closeness between them. Her hands remained lightly on his chest. "In my culture, the light release is more than emotion. It is a signal. A choosing." Marcus frowned. "Choosing what?" "Choosing who we trust," she said. "Choosing who we let see our truth." She swallowed, then added softly. "Choosing who we allow into our inner world." His heart skipped a beat, not because of romance or fear, but because he understood the weight of what she was trying so hard to explain. He kept his voice gentle. "Lyra, what does this bond mean to you?" Her eyes shimmered with a soft glow. "To my kind," she whispered, "light reveals everything we hide. If someone sees it, we cannot lie to them. We cannot pretend. We owe them our truth." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Truth about what?" A nervous flicker crossed her glow. "Truth about how important they are." He stared at her, unsure how to respond. Not because he was rejecting her, but because the idea was bigger than anything he'd prepared for today. Moments earlier, he'd been relaxing on his couch. Now he was standing in a glowing room with an alien woman confessing a cultural bond older than his species. She misread his silence instantly. Her glow dimmed. Her head lowered. Her hands almost slipped away from his chest. "If this frightens you," she whispered, "I understand. Humans fear sudden attachment. I will hide the bond again. I will pretend the light was never shared." She looked so small in that moment, small despite being stronger than he'd ever be. Marcus reached out and caught her hand gently before she could pull away. "Lyra," he said softly, "I'm not frightened." Her eyes lifted in surprise. "I just didn't know what to say," he continued. "This is big. It's different. But I'm not scared of you. Her glow flickered with relief. So, you do not reject the bond? He shook his head slowly. No. I don't reject anything. He squeezed her hand. I accept it. Whatever it means. Her breath caught, and her glow brightened in a soft, joyful pulse. Marcus, she whispered. You don't know how much that means to me. She stepped closer, forehead almost touching his chest again, but this time it wasn't because she was weak or overwhelmed. It was comfort. Relief. Trust settling into her posture like a warm blanket. The room felt different now. Soft. Safe. Quiet. After a long moment, Lyra lifted her head again, a shy smile tugging at her lips. There is something else, she said gently. Something humans misunderstand. What's that? When a Thalen shares light with someone, and they accept it, they become part of each other's path. Two minds walking side by side. Not romantic, not physical, unless it grows into that later. But something deeper. Marcus listened carefully. A promise, he guessed. Her smile warmed. Yes. A promise that neither will face their darkness alone. Marcus felt something settle in his chest, something warm and unfamiliar, like a door opening he didn't know was locked. I can live with that, he said. Lyra's glow brightened again, soft and steady. And I can live for the first time in cycles without hiding. She placed her hand gently on his chest again. Your heartbeat, it calms me. Marcus chuckled quietly. Well, it's been racing all night. Even so, she whispered. It is steady enough for me. Before they could speak more, a sound echoed from the hallway. A soft, uncertain knock. They both froze. But this time, Lyra didn't panic. She didn't hide her glow. She didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed Marcus's hand gently and whispered. Let them knock. My light belongs to you now. Marcus breathed out slowly. He believed her. The soft knock from the hallway continued, gentle, uncertain, nothing like Warden Crane's aggressive pounding. But the sound still echoed in the warm, blue-lit room like a question Marcus wasn't ready to answer. He turned toward the door. Lyra didn't move. For the first time since she appeared at his door glowing like a living star, she wasn't trembling. She wasn't hiding her hands or trying to trap her light beneath her skin. She stood with her shoulders relaxed, her glow soft and steady, like the storm inside her had finally found calm. Her voice was quiet, but sure. You do not need to open it. Marcus nodded slowly. I know. Another knock. Softer. He stepped forward out of habit, but Lyra caught his hand. Her fingers were warm, gentle, glowing faintly against his skin. Marcus, she whispered, it's just someone curious. Or worried. But whoever stands on the other side, they do not matter right now. Her silver eyes lifted to meet his. You do. Marcus felt the weight of those words settle into him, not heavy, not frightening, but grounding. As if someone had placed a steady hand on his chest and reminded him he wasn't as alone as he always assumed. The knocking stopped. Silence washed over the room. The two of them stood still, the blue glow flowing softly along the walls like a quiet tide. Lyra took a slow breath. The truth I owe you, she began softly, is not a confession of romance. Not a promise of something more. It is something deeper. Marcus nodded. I'm listening. Her glow brightened in a faint pulse, shy, but honest. When a Thalen shares their heartlight with someone, she said, it marks the beginning. A link. Our minds learn one another. Our fears settle. Our storms quiet. And, we no longer face our cycles alone. Marcus's chest tightened, not from fear, but from an emotion he couldn't name. So what does that make us? He asked. Lyra looked almost shy, her cheeks glowing a dusted violet. In my culture, she whispered, we call it a kin bond. It means two souls agreeing to stand at each other's side. As protectors. As guides. As the ones who step in when darkness grows too heavy. Marcus let out a slow breath. That sounds important. It is, she said. And rare. Very rare for us. Her glow softened. And almost unheard of with humans. Marcus looked down at her hand in his. It felt warm and real, more real than anything he'd felt in a long time. So what happens now? He asked. Lyra took a step closer. Now, she said gently, I give you my promise. She raised her glowing hand and placed her fingertips lightly against his chest. A gentle warmth spread through him, a soft echo of the earlier pulses, no pain, no shock, just a calm that felt like sinking into warm water. I promise, she whispered, that I will not let you stand alone when fear comes. The glow around her brightened, swirling softly around her shoulders. I promise that I will not hide my light from you, even when it scares me. Marcus swallowed, feeling something rise in his throat. And most of all, her voice softened further, I promise that when your shadow grows heavy, I will stand beside you, so you never face it alone. Marcus felt his heartbeat slow, steadying under her touch. He placed his hand on top of hers. Then here's mine, he said quietly. I promise to be here when you need someone. When you're scared. When your light won't stay inside. Her glow flickered, brightening with emotion. And, he added, I won't run. Not from you. Her lips parted in a small, relieved smile. She looked like she might cry, if her species could cry. Instead, her glow tightened into a soft halo. That is enough, she whispered. A silence passed between them, warm and easy. Then Lyra glanced toward the door, her glow pulsing playfully. You know, she said with a tiny smirk, if a human saw us right now, they would believe we are, how do you say it? Very close. Marcus huffed a laugh. After tonight? They'd think we're halfway to an engagement ceremony. She gave a soft, amused hum. Good. Let them guess. Marcus raised a brow. Really? She nodded once, her expression bright with mischief. Because now, your station knows you are not alone. And neither am I. The warmth in the room settled into something steady, something that felt like the beginning of a future neither of them expected. Lyra stepped closer until her forehead rested gently against his chest again. Not because she was weak. Not because she was overwhelmed. But because she wanted to. I'm not hiding anymore, she whispered. Marcus exhaled slowly, resting a hand on her back. Good, he murmured. I don't want you to. Outside the door, the hallway remained quiet. Whoever knocked earlier had moved on. But inside the apartment, the air felt full of possibility, like two lives had quietly shifted onto the same path. Lyra's glow dimmed to a gentle ember, warm and soft. And Marcus realized something simple, something powerful. He didn't feel alone either.